Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. All in crypto here, and this is a video that I originally was not going to make, but I thought, what the hell, let's make it. We are going to be talking about Cardano and Charles Hoskinson, and Cardano generally as a project and the bad rap that it gets from the media. Yesterday, Charles Hoskinson actually released a really informative video on Hydra scaling. And the only representation of this video that I have found on Twitter or online generally are very negative sort of representations of what he was actually saying. None of the positive, interesting, and fascinating things that he was talking about have been mentioned. Instead, all of the negative things have basically caught the media's attention and is really at the forefront of what came out of this video. And I think that's bullshit, because actually there was a lot of really interesting things that Charles Hoskinson said in regards to Cardano, where it's at and where it's going. And again, the media coverage of it was just horrific. You know, this made me laugh, okay? Cardano founder called Ethereum a dumpster fire, and now he's having to defend part of his project. And look at the picture they've used. You can see Charles Hoskinson down here saying, that's not me in the picture. Guys, if you want real coverage on Cardano, do go and check out allincrypto.com. We're dedicated to covering smaller projects, or altcoins, I should say, although I don't like to use the word altcoin in a lot more detail and fairly. But I wanted to kind of jump on and make a video because it's very interesting to me, all the criticism that Cardano has, and the fact that the vast majority of it is baseless. You know, if you ask someone, and we do this all the time on Twitter, we do this all the time in the YouTube comments, why it is that they have these really strong opinions about Cardano, you'll often find that they're completely baseless or based on the fact that someone said something. And we continue to back and somewhat champion Cardano on this channel for the same reasons that we continue to back and somewhat champion Bitcoin, because we ultimately believe in what Bitcoin was trying to do. And we want Cardano to succeed so that we have an alternative to the current financial or the current whatever it may be system that is decentralized, verifiable, and trustable. And that's the exact same reason we want Bitcoin to succeed as a sort of alternative store of value that gives people that option. And I think this is really important in an ever-increasing totalitarian world. Yet all people want to do is throw criticism at it, even though Cardano actually is built for your benefit. Okay, not to necessarily make you rich. That's not what we're getting at, but to actually give you rights back. Now, I have a lot of criticisms that I can levy against Cardano, and by a lot, not a massive amount, but some things that I would genuinely say other chains are doing better, like institutional adoption. I think there's other chains that are miles ahead of Cardano. Hedera is one. I actually saw a Hedera community member try and make this video about Hedera that he released. Whereas actually he didn't mention Hedera once. He was just highlighting the fact that, and this is not even related to Hedera, generally the sentiment for the crypto space, he was essentially highlighting the fact that something having a high number of TPS is kind of irrelevant if there's not a need for it. Okay? And that's not really a USP for a blockchain. However, it is something that's helpful. But what I want to do, guys, is I really just want to play a clip of Charles towards the end of the video. Before I do that, I want to give a shout out to our stake pool. You know, we've had quite a lot of new delegators come on board and actually join the pool, and that does make me very happy. But what I want to do, guys, is I want to dive down into the kind of closing clip from this video, and kind of leave it there. If you truly understand Cardano, you would know that the arguments against it really just come from perhaps people's dislike for Charles, and obviously what happened with Ethereum potentially in the early days, rather than actually judging it as a protocol. And if you look at it as a protocol, it's probably got the best proof of stake consensus that there is. Okay, Polkadot seemed to think so, and we're big fans of Polkadot. We think Polkadot is absolutely phenomenal, and we recently interviewed Bill LeBoon from the head of Web3 Foundation, and you know, looked at what was proposed and a potential leap forward for Polkadot. But Polkadot used essentially Ouroboros with Babe on top. And if you look at all the other papers and the contributions that Cardano and Charles and the kind of broader fabric of Cardano have contributed to the crypto space, doesn't make sense to me why people don't like it. I often think it's just people maybe venting frustration they have with their own lives out on Twitter. But anyway, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. Let's dive into this clip of Charles, and then we'll close the video up on some closing thoughts.
Imagine what will be when the things on the wire are not just scripts, but complex proofs involving snarks that are a roll-up of many off-chain activities, and how much throughput a system like that can get. You don't change the underlying core of extended UTXO. And yes, Hydra is another case study in this. And over time, as the years go by, it gets more sophisticated. A tail protocol is added in. Provisions for high throughput are added in finally when applications require that. Interhead communication, there's plenty of great protocols for that. And it just becomes an indispensable piece of middleware that developers have, alongside all the other middleware that developers have in the ecosystem. Mithril is another great example of that. Entire blockchains are built to try to achieve what Mithril has achieved for us. It's already now running on mainnet. People are playing around with it. Next generation's already under design, and at some point it works its way into the standard node as part of the software stake pool operators run. There are almost 200 papers behind Cardano, a massive ecosystem of researchers and engineers. Were they all just wasting their time? Were all of them just doing nothing? Nothing practical about these things? No. The paradigm itself was built for the future. And it takes time to open up and realize, and together with the dApp developers on Cardano, the government's advancements on Cardano, and everything along the line, all of these things together is how you evolve an ecosystem. Bitcoin would die to have what we have. And frankly, Ethereum is chasing it, and they can't get there because of poor design decisions with the EVM and the account model. It's very easy through sidechains for us to borrow what they have. It's a lot harder for them to get what we have. Just scale. And that's a matter of time. And so when you look at our future, it's very bright. And I believe very strongly in the design choices that were made. And these were not easy design choices. The use of formal methods, writing AGDA specifications, verifying that the code is correct, all of the property-based testing that's done, the use of Haskell as a base language, and all the things that had to be done to make that protocol great. It's not perfect. There's certainly mega improvements that need to be made with interfaces, a better data availability story. We got to get the sidechain story out. Oh, finality, sure. We have plans already to know how to turn that from 12 hours, 10 minutes on sidechain transactions. It's stuff that comes iteratively. And yeah, it has to be more open source. There has to be more collaboration from many different companies. And that was the point of Intersect. But every step of the way, nobody gives up. They don't go home. We've been working on this bloody thing since 2015 as a movement. Literally millions of lines of code. And no matter how many bear markets come, how many cycles come, people show up every day and work hard on this thing. But then we get called liars. We're told we're being dishonest. That's the nature of cryptocurrencies. And that's what makes this space so remarkably difficult to be in for people. Because you do everything, you tell everybody up front what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. You tell everybody up front where you're at. You write it down in a rigorous way.
And I can feel Charles's frustration there. You know, the crypto space, I think, given where it's at, is in infancy. And I think one of the best ways we can tell that is due to the kind of understanding of actually what's, you know, what this industry is all about and what it's doing. You know, if you look at the largest kind of community in the space, it would arguably be Bitcoiners that are championed by the Bitcoin maxis. I think they're one of the most confused or have the biggest lack of understanding about actually what distributed ledger technology is doing to the world. Yes, Bitcoin is beautiful, it's amazing, it's opened Pandora's box, but distributed ledgers are far bigger than Bitcoin. And we're seeing this with all central banks and organizations moving towards it. But it's often a very hard space to be in. You know, we find ourselves in an interesting... Cardano is one position that we have in the crypto space. And we've always been very open with when we get in and out. But it's, you know, it's not the biggest, it's certainly not the smallest. You know, we are betting on Cardano to be that alternative system like Bitcoin is. You know, it is very much the predecessor, I think, of what Bitcoin was trying to do. And I wouldn't say the predecessor because it's not just a peer-to-peer payment system. It's more than that. It's a peer-to-peer operating system. It's taken Bitcoin and the philosophy that went into it, and it's gone, let's add capability to this and extend this to actually being an operating system rather than just a peer-to-peer system that you can do multiple things on, including peer-to-peer. So in the form of stablecoin and stuff like this. So I feel Charles's frustration. We've got lots of Cardano coming up for you guys over the weeks ahead. We were actually going to do a video on using some of the clips today, actually extending on them of what Charles Hoskinson said during this interview, or this, not interview, I should say, sorry, this video. And we weren't actually going to do this video. We're going to leave Friday night alone, but we've decided to do it. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think that the media attention and kind of spotlight on Cardano is a fair one? Let me know in the comment section. On that note, we're going to love and leave you guys. Don't forget, if you do have any spare Cardano, to delegate to our pool. And we'll see you all in the next video. I'm wishing you all a fabulous Friday, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. See you in the next.